You know, not everyone wants kids. Well, first of all, not everyone wants kids. Not everyone who had kids, has kids, wanted them. Not everyone who uh, didn't want kids but had them comes to be truly at peace with that and like have a transformation and truly embracing parenthood. Some people do. Some people always knew they wanted kids. Some people are extremely clear about wanting kids. Lots and lots of people have kids, pretty unconsciously. Like it's just the thing to do and they're not really thinking through what it's really going to be like and what it means to them. And just the whole schmear, right? So there's just a huge range of places where people are coming from around having children. It's just a huge range, okay? But what I want to say today about divorced fathers is that, I'm a relationship therapist. I've been seeing people in private practice for over 12 years. And, over the years, I have had some male clients, individual clients who were men, who were divorced or getting separated or going through it, or already had been divorced for a while. And I remember a few of them, looking back over the years, some of them stand out. I remember these men that, had to leave the house where their wives lived with the children. And some of these men were so torn up about having to physically leave the home where their children live, and so torn up about losing the contact and the connection, the regular daily connection with their children. And it probably it definitely goes way deeper than that. Unconsciously, there's probably a fear of losing the role of father. And, there probably there's got to be, some ego in it subconsciously. Like, I'm the father and I need to be around to make sure things are, done a certain way. But like what came through was it was killing them that they had to be away from their children. And I know a few clients who, some of it was a little, wild, crazy, whatever, that they would like go every night to help with the bedtime routine and wait till the kids were asleep and then leave and then come back in the morning right before the kids woke up to be there for breakfast and getting the kids, backpacks and snacks and lunches and getting them on the bus. So that for a while the kids didn't even know that daddy didn't live in the house anymore, which, you can only go on for a certain amount of time, and it's, it's deception, and but what was that, wow, the passion of that, and then, okay, fine, when they got past that, at least, so it was open that mommy and daddy aren't living together, mommy and daddy are getting separated, mommy and daddy are getting divorced, mommy and daddy aren't going to be married anymore, and that became open, but they still would come if the wife let them. I've had clients whose wives fought them, not just on custody, but fought them on visitation. Like they didn't want the visitation, and the fathers were going to court or trying to fight to just be able to see their kids more. It's always more complicated. The wife, you had reason. But to see a dad like fighting, to see his kids more, to see a dad, forget the fighting, to see these men like showing up at night for dinner to help put the kids to bed, showing up getting up extra early to show up in the morning so they could be a more regular part of their children's lives. If not on a daily basis, a few times a week, so that children could have more of that rhythm with daddy, not just mommy, where daddy wasn't just a visitation. That's how I grew up. Daddy was this romanticized in a way, like date on Sundays. We went to a movie, we went out to dinner, like that was the fathering. It wasn't fathering. It was a date with dad. We would do something fun, we would do these events, we would do these things, we would talk a little bit, but it was like that was it. Sundays. From I think he would pick me up around 1 or 2, sometimes 12, but I think it was more like 1 or 2, and he'd bring me home around 10. maybe earlier for sure when I was younger, but that's what I remember. So, and I didn't get fathered. Fathering happens with the putting to bed, the brushing the teeth, the what do you want for lunch, and let me put you on the bus, and it's that regular, and then slipping in the lessons of life and the talking and those moments. Visitations are great. Visitations are important, but, to see these men. So, my message is, you have to find your own way. You have to find your own path. I'm never coming from some moral, tower of this is what you should do. And I'm just speaking from the place of wisdom that I'm coming to and what I'm learning. I sometimes come out a little strong or a lot strong in my feelings about things, but, whether you wanted them or didn't want them, or, planned them or didn't plan them, or, was fully on board or not fully on board, or, are happy about how it's turned out or not happy about how it's turned out to be, a father is my specific message in this video. They're here, and they're your kids, and you're their father. And you have a tremendous impact on their lives. And you want to think about, what are they going to be saying in a therapy session 10, 15, 20 or more years from now about what their relationship was like with their father? Because I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I always ask people, what was your relationship like with your parents? What was your parents' marriage like? Oh, they were divorced. How did they do the divorce? What was it like? And you don't have to think, well, my kid's not going to be messed up to need therapy, right? You don't have to be terribly messed up to need therapy. A lot of people go in for therapy to help with certain things in life. And, they might, what do you want them to say? It's just a nice kind of like, like looking at your tombstone. There's an exercise of, what do you want it to say on your tombstone and have that impact how you live your life now, right? So, wouldn't it be nice if they said, yeah, my parents got divorced, but my dad was really there. It wasn't like the typical, you just saw him on the weekends or every other Wednesday or whatever it was. He came around. When I was sick, he'd bring chicken soup, and, he'd come over and, just visit for a little while and, put a cold compress on my head, or, he'd come around and, sometimes he'd come over and, help my mom with dinner and put us to bed, or he'd come in the morning. Even though they got divorced, dad was still, I still got fathered. Wouldn't that be nice? And what therapist they could be saying to their friend, their lover, to speak, how are they going to speak about it and have that impact now? Now, I know that the relationship between the exes, sometimes really gets in the way of being able to do this. So again, that is what I call the Dalai Lama level of, if a couple, a former couple can transition into co-parenting with that kind of allowing that. And let me just tell you, sometimes you got to bite your tongue till it bleeds, ladies. And just know it's good for the children, for them to really love their daddy and have, a real decent amount of contact with daddy. And to see something friendly enough between you and their daddy. It's very important for them to feel whole. So divorced dads, let me know what you think. I'm always open to comments, and moms. Thanks for listening.